What is going on, guys? Bingo here. I'm with the Duel Factory for another episode of X2 Drop, our Yu-Gi-Oh podcast we do every single week, ideally, talking about Yu-Gi-Oh and anything that goes along with that game. Could be a topic, could be the metagame, ban list, whatever. This week, we decided to talk about clickbait deck profiles on YouTube, as well as maybe get into some overused terminology. Who knows? But before we get into that, I just wanted to let you guys know that the Duel Factory has been uploading pretty consistently. Check him out on YouTube for deck profiles, matches, whatever the hell he does. YouTube.com/The Duel Factory. As well as if you want to get in on the community or discussion or have ideas that you want us to talk about, feel free to join the Discord. Link should be in the description of wherever you're watching this. And then I think that's about it for the intro bullshit. Joe.
Also, one thing about it, if you're watching my profiles, I literally need people to tell me that I suck at deck building so I actually get better at this game. Much appreciated.
Yeah, so we all know Joe's the best player on the podcast. So go check him out. And then, Joe, you wanted to talk about this and the amazing content that is on YouTube, right? So we've all seen it for years. It's undisputable. You know, Team Sam has by far the best deck profiles, and everybody else is just clickbaiting, right?
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Right. I mean, I don't know why you would watch anything else. Let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. It's, you know, it's proven to be the best deck of the format, every single deck. But anyways, this was your topic idea overall. Why did you want to talk about it?
You just see it all the time, and I think it's funny when you actually see clickbait deck profiles, because you know you're gonna click it because it says something stupid, right? It either says it's the best, or they see some sort of engine that hasn't popped up in a long time, or so on and so forth, and you just see it. And I'm guilty of doing that too, because I've seen it sometimes. I'm like, oh, this looks super cool. And then you watch it, and it's like there's 3 cards relevant to this, and you just see it. Don't get me wrong, it works, but it is sometimes super annoying when you see it. But every once in a while, there's a gem amongst the rough. You know, there Team Sam actually has a decent profile once every 99 times. You know? Yeah.
So I mean, my expectation when I click on a deck profile on YouTube that is something along those lines, you know, it's not like an event topping list from a YCS or something like that. I'm just, what are they doing differently? And then I'll form my opinion there. It's okay, are they playing bad cards to make it different? Are they playing tech cards that really should be in the side deck or something? What's going on here? And I have no expectation going into these decks. And most of the time, that saves me from disappointment because they're either completely unchanged, you know, it's the standard list minus 1 card, or it's just a complete dumpster fire.
Oh, it's always a dumpster fire, bro. I never doubt that's going to be a dumpster fire, because if you think it is, it definitely is.
So what's your biggest problem with what this does to the game?
My problem is when you see clickbait deck profiles and stuff like that, is when you see it, it sets in, especially with new players coming, because this is where they're most affected or something like that, or people who don't quite understand how actual competitive deck building works. It sets an unreal expectation with actual players when they actually click on it, right? Because think about it. When some people we're just going to use this as an example, a Burning Abyss Phantom Knight deck profile, right? They're like, oh, cool, someone's actually playing the Burning Abyss cards, yada yada yada, and in the year 2021, and we got new Phantom Knight cards. It sounds like it's gonna be really cool, right?
Yeah.
You get into the deck profile, and it's literally 4 BA cards.
Yeah, Graf Seer Skarm and Cherubini, right?
Right. Now, players like me and you who've been playing for the game for a little while now, we understand that, oh, he's using the BA engine as a consistent way to make this deck a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
But for newer players, and especially players who are still in the stages of actually working on competitive deck builds and stuff like that, the expectation's not set, or it's set poorly at that point. So then when they get that, then they get angry, and then you have the keyboard warriors in the comment section, especially for people who are just trying to grow their YouTube channels, because clickbaiting is one of the best ways to do that. And then it just puts a really negative feedback on it, and then now that person doesn't want to continue growing their YouTube channel because they always get attacked for their content and stuff like that.
Yeah, my biggest problem is the fact that it's misleading, right? I don't care what adjectives you use or whatever, but if you're just misleading what the contents of the deck are, that's when I get frustrated. Like the BA lists. I think BA is one of the biggest offenders out there on YouTube, because it's always just like, even when it was like Sekka's Light BA, it was like 3 BA monsters, and they'd be like Burning Abyss deck profile, and that's just because everybody loves Burning Abyss.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's a couple other ones that do it poorly too. What was it? Just trying to think here. So a lesser form of it is like when you're playing like Chaos. So this was another one that actually got me like super upset, because I remember Chaos Dragons when they came out in like 2012 with Light Pulsar and stuff like that. So in early 2020, when people were doing profiles when Chaos Space got released, they're showing like Chaos Dragon decks. Like literally, the title just says Chaos Dragon deck 2021. I'm super excited to watch this, right? Because it's one of my favorite decks, right? Start watching the profile, and it's literally just Thunder Dragon. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm still going to play because I like Thunder Dragon, but like, as you were saying, it's super misleading, because like I was like, oh, cool, he's playing a super old an old strategy that I really enjoyed, and I'm like, oh, we're just playing Thunder with Chaos Space. That's mildly upsetting. Which again, I probably knew better, but like again, other audiences might not.
Yeah, it's like you went in there kind of expecting it to be that, but maybe he put together a deck list with some of those retro cards, and he understands that like it's not the best deck, or it's not the most competitive deck, but he's trying to make it playable, right? Kind of the stuff we do a lot, where we take a card or an archetype that we want to play in the modern setting and accept that it sucks, but try to build a deck around it, right? We do that a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, chat saying Rock BA was pretty bad about that. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, Rock BA, I never even thought about Rock BA was really bad about that. Yeah. Or here's another good one for a modern day one is Adamantipator Prank Kids. You're seeing like Adamantipator cards and Rock cards, and they're like, oh, there's Prank Kids in this, and you see 4 Prank Kids monsters.
Yeah, was it 3 Rock, 1 Fire?
3 Rock, 1 Fire. Some of them, as pointed out to me by Sterling from Die Hard Games, and I'm still going to fight him over this. But 3 Rocks is in the drops because it's level 2.
Yeah, but
Leon sucks apparently.
Doesn't using fire like make it so you can attack for game with access code Raptite or something like that if you burn for 500?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think, what is it? That's it burns for 500 or something like that, I think.
Yeah, so 43 Raptite is how much? 32?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, that would add up. So yeah, it's just really frustrating. And then we get into the other side of it. We're talking about misleading titles, and then now we're just talking about I don't know, like Dark Magician, Blue Eyes, like fan favorite strategies, I guess.
God tier.
Yeah. God tier Dark Magician deck profile, when it's literally pretty much the same way the deck has been played for the past since what was that, Magical Hero came out.
Yep.
So post fucking Megatins, after we got Dragoon, that was the only change, and it's apparently some new fangled deck profile. Literal 0 changes. That is really frustrating to me, especially from the bigger Yu-Gi-Oh channels. It's like we expect like not repetitive content, like do something with your platform. Entertain. Don't just post the same fucking shit and expect us to be okay with that.
That is the definition of insanity.
So, well, what are your thoughts on clickbait fan favorite deck profiles?
I feel like clickbait fan favorite deck profiles is a kick to the shin every time I click on one. Especially since I love playing Blue Eyes and I love seeing other Blue Eyes strategies. And then you have people like Tim Sam that have posted the same Blue Eyes profile at least 37 times, and the only thing that changed is the date in the title. Like, that drives me nuts.
Yeah, what's frustrating about it to me is when you're doing a deck like that, right? Something that people want to see, just haphazardly building it, not testing it at all, not taking it to an event or locals, and then posting it on there, right? Like when I was doing Necros, right? Like I didn't post the deck profile until after I took it to a regional and like tested the shit out of it because I want it to be as good as it could. For Dark Magician, I took that bitch to locals for like a fucking month before like I wanted to get it on my channel. Like shit like that.
You really did play Dark Magician for a month. It was actually kind of funny. But no, you bring up a really, really good point there. That's another thing that I think like makes clickbaiting like really, really bad in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is people will like sit there and like, especially like content creators, right? And they think to themselves, I have this really, really broken idea, right? And then as you were saying, they don't test it. They just throw it on the internet and they think it's just broken. And then other people see it like, damn, this really is broken. And then they put the deck together and they go play it over at the locals, thinking that the person who posted it put God knows how much time into actually testing it before giving a finished product. They go to that locals, they play competent players, and then they just get their fucking dick kicked in.
Yeah.
And now you have an unhappy content viewer from a creator who didn't actually go through the steps of processing what they were doing.
Yeah, and like we just said Team Sam, this could be anybody, you know, there's from the highest level YouTuber down to like the guy that just started. Like it happens literally everywhere. We all have our personal gripes, but I don't have any like vendettas against any tubers besides people we haven't talked about yet, right? Like Team Sam, he's doing well. Like you can't argue that his channel is probably one of the best growing on YouTube. Like you can't argue that, right?
So, not at all. He's over the 300K mark, isn't he?
Yeah. So whatever he's doing clearly works, and I got no problem with that. I have a problem with the way certain content is produced and distributed because, like you said, misleading an audience for a view that's where I get a little pissed off.
Oh yeah, for sure. I tell you, other examples of people like that who are really good at like clickbaiting, and this general rule of thumb is generally if this person says like a deck's good, 9 times out of 10 it's probably terrible. Is make a capital G. He's really, really good at hyping up something. Like what was it? He said was going to be the next Zodiac. It was him and Lithium said Magical Musketeers were right. And look where the fuck that got us.
Yeah,
like bro, go ahead.
Certain channels have target audiences, right? And I'm not going to say anything about Medical Capital G's audience, but I definitely wouldn't say they're the most competitive group of people, right? It's just it's a relatively casual content consumer, and I'm going to leave it at that because I really don't want to go off.
Oh, come on. You know you want to. It's going to make you feel great.
Yeah, but my buddy's actually been in a few of the duels for like 6 months. He was the other guy playing against Cap G. So, like, yeah, I'm just going to leave it there.
Okay, that's fair. I'll let it go. I'll let it go.
But I'm not complaining about the way things are titled, right? It's the expectation after you have clicked. Because, like, how many times have you clicked on a deck profile and been like, that's dope, or like, that's an awesome deck profile. I didn't think about that. And then, like, you got an idea and it helped your deck flow and build process, right? Like, that's happened.
Right. There's been a couple times it's happened, and some people are really good at it. Like, yeah, they clickbaited to get you in there, and it's not what you expected, but you're, like, pleasantly surprised. So that's, like, one of, like, the good sides of, like, clickbaiting. Like, it's not always going to be, like, a banger every single time, but you get to see things from different perspectives.
Yeah, and that's why you go. You're either going on YouTube for a deck profile because 1, you want to see how the meta's going. 2, you want to know the shell of a deck you're interested in or trying to build and see what you need. Or 3, you're playing that deck and you want other ideas on how to either improve or adjust that deck from somebody else's point of view. And when you get none of that from clicking it, wasting your 10 minutes, or if you're me, 45 seconds watching a video, then something's wrong.
Can you hold your attention span longer than 45 seconds? I don't think I've ever seen it happen.
If like it was what am I trying to say? if it was the type of deck profile where it's genuinely interesting, he provides good thought out reasoning for the card choices, and there's actually something to gain. I'll watch a 45 fucking minute deck profile all the way through. But
I cannot see you watching a 45-minute deck profile. There's no fucking way.
I'm in the middle of watching a 10-hour speedrun of a game, so like I can watch stuff that actually matters to me. But when I click on a God tier Dark Magician deck profile and I see literally nothing, I'm clicking through like this, and it was the exact same thing I saw 4 months ago. Like, I'm gonna be pissed off.
It's all right, man. It's gonna be okay, bro.
All right, so we're about 15 minutes into the podcast. You got anything to add before we switch gears and get into the terminology a little bit?
Honestly, you take what you will from this part of the podcast, from like clickbaiting pros and cons, because I'm sure there's plenty of people who actually listen to the podcast who are content creators themselves. And like, clickbaiting is not the worst thing in the world, but like, if you're gonna clickbait, make sure it's actually something worth watching or listening to, because like, you're just gonna set a bad precedent if you don't.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it from the you might get somebody to click on the video. You want them to stay and come around, or at least know you make quality content, because a lot of people aren't going to stick around the first time they find your channel. But like, if it's just garbage, like you made a good thumbnail, you got a title, you got a good something people want to see, and then you got them in and they're like, this was a waste of 10 minutes of my life. Like, what was the point of getting that view? You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's where I'll stop this this part, and then we'll get into something that is always fun to talk about: overused terminology in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Good old terms,
right? And
this shit is broken.
Yeah, and some of this is just a meme at this point, right? The terms like broken, insane, unhealthy. What else did I put in here?
Full list of them. I'm sick. Insane. This man's hand's nothing but gas.
Podcast ideas. Unhealthy, broken, busted, unfair, lucky. And I picked these ones because I actually want to talk about each one of them, right? Sometimes there is just top deck luck, right? Like, you did everything you could, and they just drew the out, right? The one of limited card that outs your entire board. That, like, shit happens. You know what I mean?
Well, but while we're on this topic, have you been dustered for 5 yet?
No, I haven't.
It's the worst feeling in the world.
But when you're talking about like a long drawn out game and somebody got into a certain board position that played around Nib turn 2, that played around Gamma, that set him up to go for game like 2 turns later, and he just got the last missing engine piece. Like, there's nine outs to that card, and he top decks one of them. Like, that's not fucking luck. Like, he played the game. Like, I was watching a DB match last night, and the dude, like, he drew a card that essentially there were 9 copies of it in that deck, you know, if you look at it that way. And the guy on the other side was just like, of course you fucking drew it. And it's like, he had 20 cards in his deck. He's like, that's not a sack. Like,
I think people are, especially like when you go to this terminology, right? That's a good one too, sack. But people are like putting side by side lucky and like probability way too often. Because like in your situation, right, that you're explaining, like, he had X amount of outs built in his deck, right? He only had 20 cards. Like, chances are he's gonna see one of them. His deck was designed specifically to have the most consistent way of seeing those cards. Like, that's just what it is. Now, obviously, there's luck situations where someone rips the one off the deck, like Harpy's Feather Duster. One of my personal favorites in Goki format was Soul Charge. If you remember, for those of you who really want to take a step back in wind-up format, when you thought a wind-up player was done looping you, and then they top deck fucking Avarice and put back their Sharks and Carriers, that's another good off. I was ready to fucking punch a couple guys.
With the game I was talking about, I think it was Dino versus Virtual World. and the Dino player was salty because he got to Lulu or something like that. And then the Dino player top decks Reborn, which was literally like the nuts.
All right, so the Dino players are already second class citizens in my mind.
Yeah.
Two, he's a hacking piece of shit. I would have been pissed if a Dino player drew Reborn on me.
But
like that's how it is.
But he was the one bitching that his opponent got to a staple engine piece, like one of the most important engine pieces in the deck, and then he top decks fucking Monster Reborn. Like,
I mean, to be fair, depending on how many cards are left in the virtual world decks, I mean, you play cards like Foolish Burial Goods, the Quinlong that can get you to Lulu. And I mean, like, it's not unreasonable that he would eventually see one, depending on what stage of the game it was. Like, his deck was designed to do that. Now, was the Dino player's deck designed to see Monster Reborn off the top of the deck? No, but guess what? The motherfucker saw it anyway.
Yeah, so I guess that's like a quintessential example of the fake luck that a lot of people think, where it's probability based, thought out deck building versus literal. Just I saw the card, this sack one of that I can't search at the right time. Like,
here's a good one. Did you ever, when you're playing zoo format, did you ever have players get salty at you because you opened a zoo monster?
Yeah, open zoo.
It's like I played 12 starters. What did you expect?
Full power zoo, you have a 93% chance to open zoo combo, and it's like,
oh, you're a zoo combo
fucking
again.
zoo combo. Yeah, no fucking shit. It's one of the most consistent decks ever made.
93% chance. You thought I wasn't going to see it? Whose world are you living in?
Yeah, the only time I'm not going to get it is if I draw 3D barrier and like 2 my body, if I was, or like board wipes or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're not playing the game anyway, so there's that.
Okay, so what's the next? We talked about luck a little bit. Luck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Everyone's got their own opinion about it, but unhealthy. So this one comes around a lot in ban list discussions, and I wanted to talk about it today because there's going to be a lot of ban list discussions in the next few weeks. And unhealthy versus ban worthy versus you're just salty, like it ranges. The term is used for pretty much anything in that range. Just because something is good doesn't make it unhealthy for the game, right? Just because it's a tier 1 deck doesn't mean it needs to be banned. Like, I forget, I think Doug brought up, like, people were bitching about Ben 10, right? Like, Ben 10's a good card.
Yeah, Ben 10's a fantastic card, but it's only good in the one deck right now.
Yeah, it's only...
It could potentially end up being ban worthy because something else broken can come out to abuse it, but like right now, like it's not like the worst thing.
Yeah, like if they hit it, it would probably affect the virtual world deck, but like
Ben 10?
Yeah, or not a virtual world, Drytron. It would probably affect it severely, but is it the right play? Like, is it justifiable? It depends on who you ask. You know what I mean?
Perspective is a hell of a word.
Yeah, you flip rivalry at the right time or skill drain at the right time. Like, your opponent could be super fucking salty and say that card needs to get banned. It's unhealthy for the game. All floodgates should not exist. Like, I hate floodgates just as much as the next guy, especially you since you're a combo player. But like, you can't ban every fucking floodgate.
Here's a very good example of perspective, and this is back when I played Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2013, or like the beginning of 2013. But Spellbooks had just came out, and I was playing the I had like priestesses and stuff like that, and I was playing it. And I played against a Dark World player at a regional. Can't remember the guy's name, but he was sitting there playing. He's like, "I just want to get my invite." I'm like, "That's cool, man. Let's just play." And we were sitting there, and I kept summoning priestess and popping his cards. And then after the round, he's sitting there like, "High Priestess of Prophecy needs to be banned." And then everyone just starts dying around me. And I'm like, "Bruh."
Yeah, that's the problem card.
That's what it is. And I'm just sitting there and like, I didn't say anything to him. And I'm just like, "Oh, it was a good game." And everything like that. But like that, there's a perfect example of perspective there. Everyone around me didn't think the same thing this guy thought. But because he had a bad experience with one card, he's like, "It needs to be banned." And I'm like, that's how some players view a lot of cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think That's where you start seeing the misuse of, like you were saying, things like unhealthy and stuff like that, when that's actually just not true.
Yeah, because the game is going to have the best decks of the format, or else it wouldn't be a fun game. You know what I mean? So just because you're a rogue player, or you don't want to invest the money into the game, or you don't have the money to invest in the game, and you just get bodied by X deck every week because that's what this guy at Locals plays, like, doesn't mean that deck needs to be obliterated on the ban list. Doesn't mean it's unhealthy. Now, it could be. Like, I would say Goki was extraordinarily unhealthy for the game, but somebody else might say, it's just a very good combo deck, and it was a combo format. Because we all know Konami tries to balance the type of format they have upcoming, right? Do we cater to the combo players, control players? Like,
should be fair, Goki was kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, Goki was insane, but I guarantee you find somebody like Aldo or somebody who loves the deck, like, they're not going to say it was unhealthy for the game.
They'd tell you, no, don't touch Firewall. I love that card. It's so good for me.
Yeah, it's so good for the game.
Even though the general consensus is that card needed to be handled.
Or total opposite example, like, I would, like, the Zoo engine during its prime, like, a lot of people would say it's unhealthy, and, like, yeah, I think it needed to get addressed, but I wouldn't have said that format was unhealthy. It was just a different type of format that eventually has to come to an end.
Unpopular opinion, I think Zoo format was probably one of the best things that happened to Yu-Gi-Oh! Honestly, because it made everyone have to think differently, because we went from 2 to 3 card combos to 1 card combos, and then we had everything yanked away from us, and then we realized how privileged we were when we were playing.
Yeah. And then, like, everything was yanked away from us, like, right at the start of Master Rule 4.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the format was just, like, on fire.
It
was pretty fun.
It was funny. It was like the first couple of weeks, it's like, yes, Master Rule 4 is here. Now you can only play Zoo. And then they took all the Zoo cards away from us. Now you can't play anything.
Yeah, what do we do? Yeah.
And then Pendulum Magician became the best deck out of nowhere.
Yeah, out of Electrum enters the fray.
No. It was pre-Electrum.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot about that time. Okay, and then this is the memes. We got a couple minutes left. We got busted, broken, like, insane, like, the stuff that we, like, me and Joe, we say it all the time, like, that's fucking insane, when it's just, like, a good play.
Like, that's all it is.
Yeah,
it's like just a super standard play. Like, we should have saw the line of play, but we just didn't. We're like, that shit is broken. Yeah. And we're just like,
this deck is broken, and it's literally just doing its bread and butter combo.
Like, we just don't know.
Yeah. And, like, that's all in good fun. Like, I don't have any problem with these. Like, I don't have any problems with them in Yu-Gi-Oh titles. Like, they're funny to me at this point. But, like, when somebody genuinely flipping the script, when someone generally says, like, oh, this card is broken, like, it needs to be banned, or like, or something like that. Like, that is, yeah, I don't know about that, man. Like, I can't even think of very many cards where, like, I would classify them in recent history where it was broken and it needed to be banned, besides Firewall.
I don't know. I can't remember how many times me and you were playing when we were doing matches when you were still living in Springfield, and I was playing the Guard Dragon Crusadia deck, and I had opened Kyoto Waterfront. I can't tell you how many times he looked at me like, that's fucking broken. Or that shit is busted. And I'm like, yeah, but, like, I can't do anything with it.
Yeah, but like Gamma Seal with counters, that's broken. But, like, it's good. It required an exceptional amount of setup, and I would never argue that it needs to be banned.
I think my personal favorite, this is before I met everyone here, but when I was playing with, like, Kyle, Bobby, and stuff like that, all the time we were play testing, and then, like, we were just in a winning position. We just look at each other, like, I'm about to hit my Dougie, and no one knew what the fuck we were talking about. But,
All right, well,
you don't like it is, but sometimes I do.
I do want to keep going on about this and talking about meme cards, but we're pretty much at the time. Chat says nerf sheep tokens 2021. Tokens are pretty strong in link format, so I agree.
Hell yeah, brother.
With that being said, guys, I have been streaming these podcasts every Sunday. The time varies, but the notification goes out in the Discord. So if you want to check it out, if you want to be here shooting the shit with everybody else while they're being recorded, just check out the Discord or find me on Twitch. It's pretty much the same name. Joe,
We are a growth community.
You got anything to add?
Douglas Frenchy has no sauce.
Nigga, you have no sauce. No, hey.
I got nothing.
Classic. All right, guys. Well, if you have enjoyed this video, it goes up, if you have enjoyed this podcast, it goes up same time, same place every week, which is 8 a.m. iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and anywhere else they'll let me, and 10 a.m. on YouTube. So hopefully I'll see you back here next week. Peace out.
Okay, bye.